What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Classic. I wanted to speak about a lot of things that is going on with uh, C3 Ultimate Wrestling, the board, and what's going to go on from this moment forward. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and also C3 Ultimate Wrestling. I'm going to go into detail about a lot of this stuff. July 6th is the next show. Red Fighting Blues on 4th of July weekend. See the fireworks of wrestling in the afternoon and then see the real ones at night. So very patriotic. So I am excited for the show. But uh, like I said, going through legal things and hearing back and forth with a lot of stuff, I'm going to tell you guys what I can tell you guys about the board and how, for the most part, how we are where we are at now when it comes to C3 Ultimate Wrestling and the company. What I can tell you is the board is the Bureau of Absolute Right Direction. So that may not be much to people now, but you will understand more when we try to tread in the logistics in it. Um, what they are to C3 was investors. They were big investors to the company, and we didn't need the money as if like we was starving and bleeding for money. But if people want to give you money and give you a lot of money and stuff like that, sometimes you'll be like, okay, hey, watch how I flip it. You get what I'm saying? And it works. It's not like we was like, okay, we was like in super debt or anything like that. We make sure our kids are good and we make sure our family is good and everything like that. But still, when somebody wants to try to, say that they want to invest in something because they believe in your product, sometimes you just say, yeah, right? So per the deal was to be funded a certain amount, and there were some rules as the promoter that I'm supposed to follow, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say that I am the most perfect businessman and owner as far as when it comes to C3. I've had a lot of cancellations. I've had people who couldn't show up from personal and sometimes just not wanting to show up. You get what I'm saying? I'm not even going to lie to that. Usually at the bottom of wrestling flyers, it is says card subject to change, but the problem is the subject keeps changing. So it doesn't matter whose fault of the wrestler and I or lack of communication. The fact is it kept happening, and the thing is it's a lot of stuff to where people get frustrated. If I'm promoting something and then nothing's happening with that, then that makes me feel like I'm a liar. And to anybody that watched the product, they're going to feel like I'm a liar too. So I own up to that as far as it's concerned. I've had a couple canceled shows, with me and my wife. We was at one spot and then we had like a couple canceled shows there back to back and stuff like that, and having to move things around. That messes up the product, that messes up the integrity of C3 Ultimate Wrestling. So, like I said, as I'm still continuing to grow, it's starting to be like I have to make sure I'm on stuff. And even the last show, it was a lot of violations, and I gotta acknowledge that, and I gotta be honest with that situation. Um, the tag match, right? So Jonte couldn't make it, and Joseph, our credit, was like, I'll still defend it. Joseph has had a tag match before when he went against the former tag champs legit before I had championships. And he did a great job and a valiant effort, but unfortunately he lost that one too. So this is the second time that Joseph Ira Credit wrestled twice. It's the second time he wrestled, excuse me, against the tag team, and he lost the belts, and that's just not a tag team match. That was a handicap match, and in my mind, I should have just rescheduled it or whatever like that. But me just trying to present something in always having to try to fix stuff, take something out and put something in, I get frustrated sometimes. And I was like, okay. And I asked Joseph, and Joseph said he wanted to do it. And I was like, are you sure? But still, even though I know that he will always deliver regardless of who he goes against, me as a promoter, I should have just could have waited. I could have just waited for the next show, make sure everything else was good, or even John Tate was medically cleared. So, like I said, some of this stuff that's happening, it's my wrongdoing, and I'm sitting here at admitting it. The guy that is called Nameless, which ironically is signed to C3 now. I don't know how he got signed, but except through the board, that's all I can say. Is he shows up. He's been showing up for the past few shows, and he's attacked people. And me just trying to get the show done, not hiring no security at all. And it's like, I can't sit here and just be like, oh, okay, well, I should have just did something. I should have been did something. And then even when he showed up at Still the Show, and Kevin Young Sr., he's part of production, and he's also the ring announcer, he loves the action and he gets excited for the shows, and shout out to Kev. But Kev, he did overstep a boundary by saying, hey, since everyone else wants to fight, because the other guys that were in the back, they were in the back for a reason. Nameless, the guy called Nameless, the monster, he wasn't in the back at all. They're in the back just in case something needs to happen. They have their background checks and everything is smooth. Everything is good, right? So Nameless had no background check. I don't even know how the board even has him signed if they found anything about this thing that is called Nameless. But still, on me, I could have paged Kev. I could have said no. I could have came out, and I also could have said that no, we're not going to do this. We don't know what it is, what he is, what he could do, and what destruction. And honestly, he had some destruction. He won the match, and apparently that impressed the board. And I'm trying to keep it as much as I can, but that's kind of frustrating in itself. But this is the contract I signed, so I made this bid and I got to lie in it. The situation with me and Atlas J. Horn, apparently we can't be in contact with each other, can't get physical with each other until the board finds out how we're going to resolve this situation. Because Kenny Nine. And the thing is, I was upset, and I understand Kenny Nine's logic, but at the same time, he got into business that's been festering for over 10 years. It's been festering for over 10 years. And I understand, Atlas, he left him in a heap. And I was like that a little over 10 years ago. And he really wanted redemption because Atlas did put his hands on Kenny Nine. He did. He pushed him and stuff like that. But still, that was my business to handle. Kenny grabbed the mallet and he hit Atlas. Unbeknownst to me, and I turned around and I just took advantage and I won. And I was happy for about a minute until I found out what happened. So now this is another thing that's on me because it's my company. A lot of people be like, well, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I mean, it is my fault. I could have maybe had Kenny go to the back. I could have, and Atlas, I'm not sitting here saying that he's squeaky clean. I mean, he snuck me coming out. Like, it was just a lot of stuff. He could have kept his hands. He lost. But still, look at everything that's added to it. So I have unfinished business with Atlas, but now even with that, like a lot of people was excited for this grudge match, and Kenny's involvement, it did taint it. And like I said, I respect Kenny. I disagree with his decision, but I respect Kenny because I do understand where he's come from, because that's how I kind of started in the business. And like I said, a lot of people leave the business when they get beat like that because, it's not always about people calling it fake or choreographed and things like that. It's not always about that. You're going to beat some monsters, and Atlas is nothing short of one. You get what I'm saying? And I was just trying to get that monster off my back, but now it's, now we can't even, I would have loved to face him this show at Red Fighting Blues, but it's just not going to happen. We have to figure out what's going to go. So those are like the major violations. So that's how the board gets to take over. At first, everything was going good, but like with the card subject to change and me changing so much stuff, even though it's some things that are beyond my control, a lot of people get tired of that. That does tamper with the integrity of a show. There were times where I got canceled doing shows for Hammond, and then fans would message me saying, "I hope the show's here. I hope it's going to happen. Is the show there? Are you going to like what's going on?" Like, and I'm upset, but I'm not. I'm not going to lash out on them. They have a right to be questionable and uncertain about the company because a lot of things have happened. As far as the board being investors and stuff like that, they have the 51%. So C3, it's still me and my wife's, but we just don't have control over this stuff. The YouTubes, the Facebooks, social media platforms and everything. They have that. I have the Take It Home podcast, which this video will be multi posted. It's going to be here on the Take It Home podcast, and then it's also on C3 Ultimate Wrestling. But other than that, that's all I can say right now is that I apologize as a promoter, trying to give people opportunities, trying to give myself an opportunity to show that I can lead. But sometimes I mess it up, and sometimes you got to live with it. Sometimes all it takes is you to mess up one time and you can lose it all. And that's just a life. So at this time, still support C3 Ultimate Wrestling. I'm trying my best to figure out what I can do. I got to pay the money back. I'll pay it back or whatever has to happen. We definitely fighting. So I wanted to be clear with that. I wanted to let you guys know as much as I can. And low key, I probably said too much already. So I hope you guys try to understand what I'm saying. Still support us. I see you guys July 6th. This is Chris Classic. It's just been a crazy few weeks, man. So I just wanted to be clear as much as I can. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I'll see you guys.